Hi YouTube. I wanted to make a follow-up video to the one I just made because I realized I kind of opened something and I wanted to close it. Or at least make further comments in that direction so that I can maybe build from that. So I talked about ancient arcane magic that's controlling our world, and I wanted to illustrate a little bit of how that's done. So this is infectious through everything, but some of it's more obvious than others. Now, the first one that I would have you notice, if you've read the Torah, you know that it's outlined that all nations are ruled by the nation of Israel, and they owe their allegiance to Israel. So, and that's in the Torah. So, one thing that happens, and this is exactly how they trick you. So, there's all these tricks in the world, and they're just to get you under spells. They now do this in schools. They might have taken this out of schools, but I don't think so. You might be familiar with the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you don't, oh, you know what it is. So you pledge allegiance to a flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now, the thing that you might not notice is that actually you're pledging allegiance to a flag that's explicitly described as being under God and a nation. So from a very young age, they actually brainwash you into falling into the spell. And it's a little shifty if that works or not as a spell, but as long as you don't object, it's hard to say that you do. So this is one way they're putting you in a position that you're pledging allegiance ultimately to Israel and to the God of Israel, etc., etc. And in America, they more or less program you to worship the God of the Bible, which this is what I wanted to get into, at least at the beginning. And maybe I'll expand, but I want to say this before I get into all of that. The overarching allegorical doctrine of the Bible is be a good slave. I'll say that again. The overarching allegorical doctrine of the Bible is be a good slave. Okay? And the reason that that's the overarching allegorical doctrine is because it was designed to enslave you. This is not a book that is written to make you a morally upright character and send you to heaven. It is a book to enslave you. And it was made by sorcerers who want to control you, who have always wanted to control you, and given to their heirs to control your heirs and those who came before you. And their justification in their mind is, oh, well, we give you the opportunity to convert and you can become one of us. That's their rational defense for how they can do this to you. So, I want to talk about some of these lessons in the Bible. Now, this God is all here to get you to obey and be a good slave and participate in all of the necessary steps to get spells on you. So, one of the first ones, the story of Abraham. This is the very, it's right at the beginning, and this is because in my sorry for jumping around so much, I have to say this. In my last video, I talked about how veganism is the key to your cell. So, this is the beginning. The story of Abraham. Now, forgive me if I don't get the details exactly correct, but I'm going to get the spirit correct. So, Abraham and his brother, God says, I want a sacrifice or an offering. I want an offering. So, and so the offering here, well, the good one, I should say the offering first. The offering is he wants a dead animal. I forget the animal. I think it's a cow or chicken or something. And lo and behold, the good one of these two goes and slaughters the baby animal and offers it to this god. And the bad one, the one who disobeys God, brings some fruit and nuts or something like this, some vegan food, and offers it to this god. You bad motherfucker. How dare you do that? And is punished for it. So, what's the allegorical story behind all of this? It's that the good one killed the animal because God said so. And the bad one tried to offer vegan food. Now, why would ancient wizards and sorcerers and witches design a book that tells you to ignore the inherent value of a conscious creature to serve its flesh to a god? Well, here's the full story. That god is the very will of these ancient evil sorcerers. And the reason that it wills you to kill animals, and in this story paints the benevolent image of killing animals for this god and obeying, is because once you're willing to take that radically unethical, immoral step for a faceless, nameless god that may as well be an ancient evil sorcerer telling you what to do, then you cede your rights. That's C-E-D-E, cede. It means to yield or get rid of. Because you accept that you are a ward, that you are unable to think for yourself, that you are a zombie, which is no surprise considering you, as a Christian, worship a zombie, namely a Jewish zombie. And here we are, killing as we're told. And being told that the good guy kills the animal because the God said so. Blah, blah, blah. This is all to trap you in a spell. And from the very beginning, the first thing they do, allegorically, is make you unvegan. The very first thing. Because as soon as you take away someone's veganism, they cede their rights completely. And at that point, you can do anything you want to them. Karmically. I'm not saying legally. I'm saying from a karmic perspective that becomes true. Because, and it, in the same, it's, a better way to put it might be, you become no better than cattle because you treat others as cattle. Therefore, you become goyim. When you accept the Abraham story as some sort of moral directive, that this Abraham character is a good guy, that he's godly, you become karmically cattle and able to be manipulated. That's how they control your mind. And they're karmically, they're using sorcery to do that by manipulating karma after you cede your rights. So, and this is just one facet. This is just one facet of this big, elaborate trap. Just like the Pledge of Allegiance. Same. All of the while, they're just tricking you into ceding your rights so that they can treat you like a goyim. That is the entire bigger picture of this ancient magic that's been foisted upon you since you were born. There is no vast Heavenly Father that's going to protect you and give you eternal life for obeying ancient evil sorcerers who want to control you through the use of spellcraft or witchcraft. It's just not going to happen. It was never real. Just like if you're a MGTOW, just like the myths that the women told you about love, etc. It's the same thing. It's a lie. It's a really good lie. And I don't mean good as in morally upright. I mean it's a hard lie to spot. Now, if you comb the Bible, just me giving you that one little thing about the Abraham story, if you comb the Bible, you can begin to see this throughout the entire book. Now, I actually might go through the whole book and show all of this. It's a bit like Well, it's magic. I mean, what I'm really doing is uncovering magic. It's the same shit that Penn and Teller does, except I'm looking at ancient sorcery and they're looking at parlor tricks. Not to bash Penn and Teller, I think they're great. I'm just saying this is how they're tricking you into being a slave and how they're getting away with it, even from a karmic perspective. It's because you're accepting it. It's because you're taking the deal. And the problem, of course, isn't actually really that you think that you're in prison. It's that you don't, even if you know that, you don't know how bad you have it. You actually can't know until you get out of it. That's the thing, is when you grow up in terrible circumstances and all you know is suffering, you don't imagine it gets any better. I mean, this is why there are really sad motherfuckers who say things like, just talk to any Christian about atheism and they will give you the saddest perspectives you've ever heard. They will tell you things like, if I were an atheist, I would kill myself. And just really sad shit, because that's how they think. And it's because they're suffering so much. They don't know how precious life is. You might even be one of them. You have no idea how precious life is under good circumstances. Under good circumstances. And you have no idea how trapped you are until you see it all. And it's a giant arcane net. It's a spell, it's witchcraft that's been cast over nations. And any time that you find that nations are a part of your deal, you're in trouble, because what's the word? Because Israel deals in nations, that's what I mean. And if you're dealing with Israel, you're dealing with a dominating force. You're dealing with the first, more or less the first conquerors. The only ones that they regarded with, I think, equanimity, is that the word? Shit, I need to brush up on my vocabulary. Yeah, I can use equanimity here. The only other tribe that's considered to have equanimity by the Israelites is the Amalekites, Amalek, and there's an order allegedly by God to exterminate all the Amalekites, which essentially, from what I've read, is basically the only rational resistance to Israel. So when I think of Amalek, I think sort of a heroic kind of figure, actually, in some way, because he was probably a sorcerer like them, but doing something else. And Israel is all about domination. I mean the religious sense. I don't mean the physical land and soil of that country. I mean the nation, the religious nation. So yeah, if you really take a look at your book, you'll find that you're being controlled. but this information isn't for everyone. Some of you are going to hear this and say that I sound exactly like the devil because you're unable to assimilate higher consciousness knowledge. It's exactly like someone on the outside of a zoo saying, you know, it's really great out here, you know, when every time you try to get out, your zookeeper beats the shit out of you, and you're just trying to trick me into getting the shit beat out of me by that zookeeper again. Fuck you. You have no idea. You have no idea. That abusive zookeeper is my enemy as much as yours. So, yeah, that's just, it's kind of long, so I'll close it up here. I hope that helps you.